This is the Aventon Abound SR. Not only is this a new model, but they're introducing some new tech. In this full review, I'll walk you through all the components. The battery is locked to the frame, but if I do this and hit the power button, it pops open. Then we'll get into some first-person riding footage, see what the motor is capable of. Pushing on the pedals quite a bit, I can actually get to 20 miles per hour. And finally, some third-person riding footage where I'll give you my concluding thoughts on this electric bike. We have two of them here so I can show off some of the accessories. And I almost forgot I have some help here. My wife, Allie.
Hey there.
And our littlest one to test out the Thule seat and give you a true perspective of how this bike can be used. But first, let's take a closer look. So the Abound SR, what does SR stand for? That stands for short rack because they have a full cargo version of the Abound, which we've also reviewed. We've reviewed every Aventon electric bike, so you can check out all of our reviews if you're interested in some of their other models. The general category of these types of electric bikes, though, I call utility bikes. They give you the option to haul some cargo, but they're not as long and unwieldy as a full cargo electric bike. More than likely, you're familiar with Aventon, but if you're not, they're an omni-channel brand. All that means is they're sold in over 1,800 bike shops across the United States, so you can likely see one in person and test ride, or you can buy direct online on their website. And if you do buy online, why not support our content for free? Use our link down in the description before you make your purchase. And hey, if you do purchase in store, just email me, ryan@ebikeescape.com. We can still get credit, so thanks for your support. And while this might look like just a standard e-bike, trust me, there is a ton of tech in this electric bike. They're doing things that I haven't yet seen from any other brand, especially so at this price point. Speaking of price point, the Abound SR is priced at $21.99, and it comes in three different colors. First, we have the Stealth matte finish, really sharp. Then we have the Haze or Purple. And finally, Cobalt Blue, the same color that's on the Aventon Adventure 2. Total capacity is 440 pounds, 140 pounds on the rear rack, and 33 pounds with the optional front rack. The bike weighs in at 80 pounds, and it will fit riders 4'11" up to 6'3". I'm 6 feet tall. There's the seat post at its minimum insertion point and full leg extension. Let's bring out my 5'5" model. The standover height right here is 15.5 inches, so it can accommodate a variety of riders. Next, let's get into all the components, and just a note, none of the passenger accessories are included. For stopping power, we have 2-piston Tektro hydraulic disc brakes, 180 millimeter rotor in the front, and check this out behind the wheel skirt and frame here. There is hidden a 203 millimeter rotor. Stopping power, definitely not going to be a problem on this electric bike. Tires are 20-inch by 3 inches wide, a Nova branded street tread and reflective sidewall. And the front wheel attaches with a through axle for increased strength. Also make sure your wheel is where it's supposed to be. Metal fenders in the front and full coverage in the rear, Aventon branded. And just like the Longtail Abound, we have front suspension. It's a Trauma front suspension fork, but Aventon has put their branding on it. Preload adjustment on the left, lockout on the rear. And we have 50 millimeters of travel. The front light runs off the main battery, and there's a rear light as well. It is brake actuated, and when you turn on the lights, it does go brighter when you press the brakes. And even more, we have turn signals left and right. Moving to the head tube, we have Aventon's badge on the front, 4-bolt pattern for mounting the front rack. And we have BMX style handlebars that allows for adjustment front and back, depending on your preference. And the stem, while it doesn't look adjustable, is simply undo this top bolt. Check out all the adjustment here. Minimum insertion point is right here. And so this is how it can look for a taller rider. My hands are pretty much parallel with the ground. Or if I prefer, a little bit more of an aggressive riding position. Moving to the cockpit, this is where we start to get to some of the cool stuff. But first, locking ergonomic grips, Aventon branded, on the left and right. Matching Tektro hydraulic disc brake levers with motor cutoffs. We have Shimano's 8-speed trigger shifter. With these BMX style bars, you have tons of room for accessories. There's a left-hand thumb throttle. Next, the controls and the display are all one now. It's a small LCD display on the left side, power button in the middle, Aventon on boot up. We have time on the top left-hand corner. You can turn the lights on by holding pedal assist up, indicator right here. We'll turn the lights off so the display is better. Wireless bars, location tracking, battery percentage in the top right-hand corner, speed front and center, 3 levels of pedal assist, eco, sport, and turbo. Turn signals left and right. Walk mode can be engaged by holding pedal assist down, indicator on the right. Next, let's go into the advanced settings. Hold pedal assist up and down at the same time. You can clear your trip. The battery is locked to the frame, but if I do this and hit the power button, it pops open. That's how you remove this battery. Then we have bike lock. And yes, you can lock this bike. It has a built-in lock. We'll hit adjust here. And so yes, now the kickstand is locked. No matter what I do, it's not going anywhere. Of course I could pick it up, but no one is going to be able to deploy the kickstand. Then we have display unit, brightness, auto power off, password that you can set, system info, set date and time. But some of the cool tech is actually when you connect this to the app. And so basically you scan a QR code, much like other Aventon electric bikes. I already added this bike, so you have the same functionality. You can turn off the bike. You can also lock or unlock it. That did the kickstand. You can turn the lights on and off. You can see your battery percentage, change pedal assist levels, view your location, some of your riding data. There's a social aspect to the app. There's also some gamification. This is where you can record a ride. But what's really cool is the bike has a data connection. They include it for 1 year for free. After that, it's $2 a month or $20 per year. What that allows you to do is you can set up a geofence where this bike can be ridden and where it can't, and it will turn off the bike. You can enable transport mode so you don't get notifications when you're transporting the bike. There's a security verification as well. It lets you set an interval. You can see the data connection, of course. And you don't have to have the data connection if you don't want to track where your bike is. Some of the included functionality though is you can lock when the bike is powered off. And so you can set an alarm. And finally, as we first saw with the Rambless, there's a ride tune setting. You can customize those 3 levels of pedal assist to your liking, which is really cool. In my opinion, it makes it okay to only have 3 levels of pedal assist when you can tune them exactly the way you want them. Next, let's get to the battery. Now you might be wondering, how can you remove the battery if the bike is dead? They've thought about this. So when the bike gets to around 4% battery, they try to conserve battery power so you can remove the battery. There is an emergency release though at the bottom of the frame, though it's not easy to remove the battery that way. So let's go into the display and unlock the battery. And there we go, it just popped right out. This battery is a 36 volt, 20 amp hour battery for 708 watt hours. The battery is UL 2271 certified. The entire bike's electronics are UL 2849. And a handy addition, we have 2 bottle cage bosses on the battery, so you don't lose room for storage here. Though just keep in mind, whatever you do mount to here is going to be attached to your battery. There's an indicator button on the end, and the bike comes with a 4 amp charger, so around 5 hours to charge it from empty. We'll put the battery back in. This end goes first, and we'll snap it into place. Charger port on the battery is right here. Included are plastic pedals, and of course the dual kickstand. Put your leg in front of it and just rock the bike forward. And to put the kickstand back down, simply put your foot at the end and rock it backward. Still good on this soft ground. There's 2 more mounting points on the seat tube. There's a suspension seat post, and they include this Sella Royale saddle. It's pretty firm, but I do like that it has a handle on it. Optional pegs can be mounted here, here, or here. The wheel skirt comes included. The rear rack comes included. That's where you can mount the Thule seat. And this is their new captain's chair, another optional accessory. Say you want to put a larger kid in the rear. It's very comfortable. The rear motor is 750 watts nominal, 950 watts of peak power, with apparently 80 newton meters of torque. Now this is a 36 volt system, so I'm super curious how this performs in our upcoming first person riding footage. And yes, the motor is engaged with a torque sensor. We'll talk about that a little bit more as well. The derailleur is Shimano Altus, again, 8 speeds, 12 to 32 teeth in the rear, and a massive 52 tooth front chainring. They also have a chain guard. All right, enough talking about all the components and the cool tech. Let's get into some first person riding footage.
Okay.
Let's see how this bike performs. Been riding it around a bit. Our first test will be throttle only with pedal assist off, no access to the throttle, but you do have full access in Eco, Sport, or Turbo. Again, class 2 electric bike with a top speed of 20 miles per hour, whether you're using that throttle or pedaling. All right, here we go. 0 to 20, we'll see how this 36 volt system performs. Actually a decent amount of torque. There's 15 miles an hour, 17, 19, and there's 20 miles an hour. It doesn't feel like a 36 volt system. Obviously 80 newton meters of torque is really good, so still powerful. And I did talk a little bit to the Aventon team, and their perspective was the bike can still get you to 20, whether you're pedaling or using the throttle. So why not eke out a little bit more efficiency with a 36 volt system? Helps keep costs down as well. So interesting choice. Now let's start pedaling. I have it in Eco Pedal Assist Level 1. Now remember, in Ride Tune, you can customize how this bike performs. So the settings on this bike were 30, 60, 90 in Eco, Sport, and Turbo. I changed it to 30, 60, 100 because I want to see how the full motor power performs in Turbo. But we'll start with Eco, and there's charts in the app, and it really gives you a good idea of how much torque you have to be putting down in order to get more power from the motor. Haven't seen that before. And remember, this is a torque sensor, which means the more power I put in, the more power I'm going to get from the motor. Aventon has moved all their bikes to torque sensors at this point instead of cadence sensors. But with the torque sensor, you're getting a more natural riding experience, just because the more power you put down, the bike matches it and gives you more. That compares to a cadence sensor, which is more of an on-off switch. As long as you're pedaling, you get power from the motor. Now, what I'm going to do to give you an idea of how the torque sensor performs in every pedal assist level, I'm just going to pedal at a leisurely cadence like what I'm doing now, going 8 miles an hour in Eco. But if I wanted to put in a little bit more effort, and I do hear the motor, let's go up to 4th gear, and you can see we're getting up to 13 miles an hour. Now, this isn't a significant amount of effort, more of a moderate pedaling, and I can make it even harder on myself. And pushing on the pedals quite a bit, I can actually get to 20 miles per hour. You would definitely be tired after that though. Let's go into sport mode, and I'm going to shift to 4th gear, maybe even 5th gear. Remember, 3 levels of pedal assist and comfortably cruising at 11 miles an hour. Again, not putting too much pressure in on the legs. Aventon employee having some fun. All right, and more power on those legs gets you to 16, 17 miles an hour. Going up a hill now, and even more power to the legs. We're getting up to 20 miles per hour up the hill. So undoubtedly, you have to put some power in. Let's see what the cruising speed is for Turbo. All right, I have it in Turbo now. 6th gear, leisurely cadence, 12 miles an hour. And just with the slightest more torque on my legs, I feel the motor power giving me more. Let's put in a little bit more power. There we go. So very easy to cruise at 16 miles an hour. It's nice to have the option. Some people want to put in just a little bit of effort. Some people really want to feel a bit more of a workout when they're riding their electric bike. And this torque sensor does give you the ability to do that. Let's go into 7th gear. All right, and a little bit more torque on those legs, and already getting to 18, 19 miles an hour. And the Aventon display is reading at 19.8. So overall, a good pedaling experience, no ghost pedaling. It doesn't take a ton of effort to hit 20. And of course, you have the Ride Tune settings, which is super handy. That's something that every electric bike should have because everyone has different riding preferences. All right, with that, let's get to a hill climb test and see how this motor performs. All right, given we're in California, not Wisconsin, we don't have our huge hill climb test. This is the closest hill we could find though. It's a moderate neighborhood hill, we'll call it. And our first test will be throttle only. We'll see how the motor performs. All right, ready?
Set.
Here we go. All right. 16. 20 miles an hour. And just a slight incline all the way up this hill. And it's still holding us at 20 miles an hour. Gets a little steeper at the top here. All right, and it made it, no problem. What'd you think?
No problem.
All right, let's do it while pedaling. All right, this is the way this is going to work. Allie's gonna go in turbo, so we should see her zoom up the hill. I'm going to keep it in eco, at least for now, just to talk through how it feels. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right, here we go. We'll shift all the way down to first gear. Oh, wow. She is zooming up the hill. I would say in eco pedal assist level 1, I'm putting in a decent amount of effort. Of course, what's nice is you always have the throttle, but let's go into a sport mode. And given this is a torque sensor, I just have to put in a little bit more power to get more power from the motor. So I imagine most people are going to want to do what Allie just did and go into turbo. And I could very easily just spin my legs and cruise up this hill at 8 miles an hour. But if I want more power, you do have to really push down on those pedals. Let's shift up so it's easier to do so. All right, third, fourth gear. There's Allie up ahead. You are a hill conqueror. So I found that eco pedal assist level 1 still was a bit of work. And I really wanted to be in turbo, but even more, I think on hills, it's nice to just have the throttle and then shift it into the gear that you want.
I was going 20 whole time, but I would say I was working hard.
All right, with that, let's get into some third-person riding footage. We'll give you our concluding thoughts on the Aventon Abound SR. All right, let's talk about the Aventon Abound SR, both the good and the bad. Aventon's clearly pushing the brand forward here, and I'm here for it. At $21.99, it's not exactly a budget-priced e-bike, but it's still way under other bike shop brands like the Globe Haul ST from Specialized, which is $2,800. On the mostly direct-to-consumer side, it's right in line with the Rad Power Bike's Rad Runner 3 Plus. One big advantage with Aventon though is they've got over 1,800 dealerships in the United States. That means you can test ride the Abound SR and sit on it before you buy, which is huge. Now let's get into the bike. Like other Aventon models, the Abound SR has that premium look, especially with those smooth welds. It's a utility e-bike, so you can carry cargo or a passenger, but it's much more nimble than a full cargo e-bike. The rear rack holds up to 140 pounds, and with the 440 pound total capacity, it's a solid setup, though unfortunately my wife and I can't quite use it for date night due to that rear rack capacity. Battery wise, it's pretty average with up to 60 miles of range. The battery is top loaded, which makes it easy to access, something that I appreciate. I was a little skeptical of the 36 volt system, but it rides better than expected. Probably the best performing 36 volt system I've tested, and you have 80 newton meters of torque, so I wasn't left wanting more power. I'll test it at 25 miles per hour and update you in the comment section below. Accessory wise, Aventon gives you the basics: rear rack, wheel guards, fenders, and a chain guard, but you'll need to budget for any extra cargo or passenger add-ons. The BMX style handlebars give a nice riding position, and the quill stem is adjustable, though it's not toolless, so if you're sharing the bike with others, keep that in mind. Now for the tech, which is maybe the most exciting part of this e-bike, especially considering its price point. There's a $2 a month or $20 per year subscription to keep the bike's data connection active, which isn't bad if you want tracking. If you live in a theft-prone area, I think it's a no-brainer. The ride tuning feature for pedal assist customization is a nice touch too. Can't wait for this to make it to their other e-bikes. But here's the deal, there are a few things I'd change. Unlocking and removing the battery through the settings within the display is a bit of a hassle. It would be nice if there was just a simple button you could push. The seat post doesn't go quite high enough for my 6-foot tall frame, and the included suspension seat post is basic. The LCD screen is small and left mounted, making it hard to see your speed at a glance. And finally, the plastic pedals feel cheap for a bike that otherwise looks and feels premium. Still, if you've had your eyes on utility bike, you have to consider this electric bike, particularly with its torque sensor and some of the premium features. And if you plan to buy a Abound SR, do me one favor, just click that link in the description before you make your purchase. Thank you so much for your support. I can't wait for some of these features to make it to the rest of Aventon's lineup. They're keeping things fresh, and if this is a sign of what's to come, I'm certainly excited. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.